according to Yahweh. According to Yahweh, when does the new year begin? So we now know that in Rome, the new year begins on January 1st. But the new year to Yahweh, we find it in Exodus 12 and also in Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1. And let's focus on Exodus 12. Exodus 12, 1 through 2, it says, Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron in Egypt, this month is to be for you the first month of your year. But as a matter of fact, I want to go back to Exodus 12, and I want to read this to you so that you know, so I can better clarify this. If you have your scriptures, we're going to go to Exodus 12, verse 2. It says that this new moon, or this month, is the beginning of new moons for you, and is the first new moon of the year for you. Verse 3, speak to all the congregation of Israel, saying, on the 10th day of this new moon, each one of them to take for himself a lamb. Right? Let's skip down to verse 5. Let the lamb be a perfect one, a year-old male. Take it from a sheep or from the goats. In verse 6, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same new moon. And so this is really talking about Pesach. This is talking about Passover. Exodus 12, this is when the nation of Israel had to actually, slaughter the goat and put the lamb, the blood of the lamb on the doorposts, so that the angel of death would come into Egypt and know who's who, which is one of the reasons why we even have a mezuzah on our doorpost. This is that's what goes into what's called the threshold covenant, but that's another topic. But so that you can better understand is that in Exodus 12, this month it really is talking about Passover. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1, it says, observe the month of Aviv and celebrate the Passover unto Yahweh your Elohim, because in the month of Aviv, he brought you out of Egypt by night. And so now we understand now that according to Yahweh, the month of Aviv is the month to be the first month of your year, or your new moons. So there goes another example. Rome comes and says, our new year is on January 1st and we shall make a great celebration. But Yahweh is saying no. Our new year begins on the month of Aviv. And Aviv really it refers to as the beginning, the springtime, or like the beginning of the crop season. So it's not in the dead of the winter, like a lot of people refer to as, in January 1st. So, there goes another example of how Rome changed the times. And so in ancient Rome religion, sacrifices were offered unto Janus at the new moon of every month, or in the beginning of every month. And so remember in Daniel chapter 7 verse 25, it says that he will speak great words against Yahweh, the Most High, right? And so now Hasatan, really in a nutshell, is saying that he wants sacrifices offered onto him, right, which is Janus, and on the new moon, or the beginning of every month. And that totally contradicts the Torah of Yahweh, the law of Moses. And because it says in Numbers 10:10, also at your appointed times of rejoicing, your appointed festivals, and your new moon feasts, you are to sound the shofars over your burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, and there shall be a memorial before your Elohim. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Baruch Hashem. That's one of the things that we, us, people of Yahweh, we have to come to the truth and realize what we're really doing. What is it that we're really doing? the enemy's trick is to make us, just say, it's just a tradition. We're just celebrating, just to celebrate it. But in reality, these celebrations came for a reason. These celebrations came to establish confusion. Remember, that was the name of the gods, the god of confusion, to establish it. And Rome came and changed the times and changed, our appointed times. And so, this is another example of Rome speaking against the word of Yahweh. Janus was the god of time. Remember, he was the god of beginning and endings. He was the god of transition. He was the god of transaction. He was the god of passages and doorways. And he was also known as the god of time. And according to Ovidius, remember that poet that I mentioned, he says, writing as if he were Janus, he says, "I sit at the heaven's gate with the general hours. My office regulates the goings and the comings of Jupiter himself." Here Janus speaks as the voice of cycles, as the law of nature to which the whole universe is obedient. And Jupiter refers also back to Janus, refers also back to Nimrod, which in this sense is referring to the sun worship. And so he says that he regulates the goings and the comings of Jupiter. So here is Hasatan speaking through the prophet Ovidius and saying that Janus is the great God, the one who regulates the times, which is again prophecy fulfilled when Daniel chapter 7 verse 25, it said he will speak great things against Yahweh, and said, because in Daniel chapter 2:20, and to 21, Daniel answered and said, "Blessed be the name of Yahweh forever and forever. Baruch Shem Kevod Le'olam Va'ed. To whom belong wisdom and might. He changes times and seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding." But who are those people that gives? Who are those people whom Yahweh gives the wisdom and knowledge and understanding? If we read Proverbs chapter 9 verse 10, it says that the beginning of the knowledge and understanding is with those who fear Yahweh, and obey His commandments, right? But right here, perfect example how Janus is saying that he is the ruler of time. He is the creator of time. He is the God of time. When in reality, Yahweh, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the living Elohim, He really truly is the God of time. He really is the true God of Israel. But Janus, or Hasatan, he's saying he's the God of time, and this refers to as where does time come from, and I'm gonna introduce you to Father of Time, which is also Janus. Janus is known as the God of Time, and this is also the Father of Time. And in my very first slide, you saw I had 2014, but the 20 had a clock. And so what does the Roman numerals have to do with time and the God of time? And so the Father of Time is usually depicted as a elderly bearded man dressed in a robe carrying a scythe. A scythe is that hook-shaped, agricultural tool, is used to collect crops and harvest, which has to do a lot with the harvest of people. And an hourglass or clock, which represents time's constant one-way movement. On New Year's Eve, many editorial cartoons use the convenient trap of Father Time as the personification of the previous year or old year, who typically hands over the duties of time to the new year, who otherwise characterizes the preceding year. He is also known as the god Saturn. And in our last video, if you watched the last video, I speak about the celebration of Saturnalia. And what are the rules, like what is the instruction on how to celebrate Saturnalia. And now to my understanding, the celebration of the new year has a lot to do with Saturnalia, and how really the celebration of Saturnalia, Christmas, and the New Year's are all conjoint. These are all conjoint, and how just like how the feasts, the festivals of Yahweh, the 7 festivals of Yahweh throughout the year, it really represents a grand, master plan, the times of harvest, the first harvest and the later harvest, and, the plan of Yahweh. Well, so too goes for Hasatan. Hasatan has these festivals, and they all have meanings to them, and when you put them all together, this is one great harvest. And so the god Saturn, as I explained in the other video,